Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel here at VickiDillard.tv. I am so pleased that you are with me today. I want to get to where we need to go with the quickness. Yes. So, family, come on in, come on in, come on in. Hit that thumbs up button and share, share, share. Yes. Thank you so very much, family. I appreciate that. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, 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 share. I know I popped in on you today, had some broadcasting changes on the other network that I'm on, but I wanted to go live very quickly before my next meeting. Yes. So, family, I know that some of you all by now certainly have heard about the situation that's going on with Mr. Karmelo Anthony. Of course, we're not talking about the basketball player. We're talking about the young black man, unfortunately, teenager that got caught up in a white supremacist aggression. And because he held his ground after their aggression, talk black to me, somebody, white people are mad. How many of you all know that we have normalized black folks singing Amazing Grace and being nonviolent in situations where our lives are literally threatened? Too often back in the day, we were used to seeing, unfortunately, some of our own filming their own, being beat, having their brakes beat off, near death, and in some instances, actual death, while they didn't intervene physically. You better put that phone down and go to work. Talk black to me, especially when you are watching the uncivilized seek to take your life in the process of taking your life. Well, when they encounter one of us that's not about that life, that says, hey, if you want to act like a lion and a tiger and a bear, if you're going to act undomesticated, talk black to me, somebody, we're going to treat you as such. We're not going to sit here and try to figure out how is it that you're able to stand on 2 feet, how you sneezing and stuff and driving cars like us. We're not going to sit here and say, well, I wonder if they like us. That's not the time for that when your life is in danger. You understand? We're not going to go off what we hope things ought to be like. When your history and when your nature starts to reflect outside, somebody say outside. When your nature and your history starts to reflect camping. When we get the energy of Dorothy, talk black to me, somebody, from the Wizard of Oz, we're going to treat you accordingly. This is not time to be acting like we inside. No, you act like you belong outside. The protocol for outside is different. So with that being said, I don't want no bone and biscuit sitting up here defending the absolute indefensible. I'm not going to even sit here and spend 5 minutes on talking about that. And to be as quiet as it's kept, to be honest, I don't even like the fact that we keep talking about what a wonderful student he was. There's a danger in us saying stuff like all the time, well, he was a straight A student, or he had a 3.0 GPA, he had a 4.0 GPA, he wasn't bothering nobody. Something is wrong with you when we sit there and justify how wonderful somebody is to determine whether or not you should have taken them out or killed them. You see how that's ridiculous? None of us should feel better and say he was a good person. Ninja, you don't get to decide who's good and not, fool. Hell, what if he couldn't read? What if he was illiterate? You're trying to tell me that should be a justification for taking him out? You see how we sound crazy when we start to quote the media on stuff like that? Now, I know when you're reading a paper or a newspaper and you're saying what they said just to get the facts, their little statements and narrative out. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying we better be careful to make sure that on a subconscious level in our minds, we're saying, but he was a straight A student. He was a good student. Ninja, if you don't get so crazy. Who said, let's stop talking until the court case? Shut up! Whoever said that, if I block you. I hold court here. I influence minds. You sit your hips down. You listen to what I say. When them lily white jurors are going into the jury room to deliberate, they're basing what they say off of images and information that they've had of us. I'm seeking speaking to counter that. Sit your funny looking hips down, ninja. That was my spirit that attacked that wickedness that you just said. You don't shut your. That's for you. That's the spirit that came up out of you in my chat. God, today I didn't mean to do all that. I got my little feathers in today, and gold and green and stuff on. What am I doing, hollering and screaming and stuff? That wasn't me, baby. That was my spirit. You better sit down, demon. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care if you gave me a gift or a super chat in the past. A devil just came out of you when you said that. Whatever you are or are not, man, woman, girl, boy from Britain or United States, I don't give a damn. My spirit just told me a spirit just spoke through you. Somebody said, Miss Vicki nearly cursed. And if I did, everybody, I promise you, you're going to trust me. That's the Lord if I do and when I do. When you hear me speak like that, it's a spirit at work. I don't care if you understand it or not. I helped you right there. Stopping your possession. Sort of a preemptive little exorcism. You're welcome. Little exorcism I just did right there. Tell me what to do up in this piece. Wait till the court case. What the hell is wrong with you? I ain't them. What I say goes. What I do is what ought to be done in a system of white supremacy. That you ever on no day in your whole life come over here telling me what to do. Stay confused. Whoever's confused, stay confused. That means that part wasn't for you. Stop trying to jump in and mess up what I got going on. Hush and go with the flow. I'm not in no business of nothing else right now. I'm in a zone right now, and I know what I'm doing. Don't you ever tell me that. A spirit just jumped in you, and now they out. You welcome. You welcome. Now let's get to where we're going. Everybody, please hit that thumbs up button. Share. By the way, family, in just a couple of days, I'm getting ready to hold a very special, I think it's going to be my 6th 911 Underground Pandemic Webinar. Yes, I'm going to be exposing Robert F. Kennedy, who I met with face-to-face last year when he was still running for president of the United States. How many of you all know that he wrote an entire book and he was well known for many, many years for exposing the MMR vaccine? Yes. Well, he's recently come out, now that he's officially the Health and Human Services Secretary, supporting it. Now, some of his supporters are trying to say he's getting in the system first. He's justifying why he did it. He's got some little trick up his sleeve. Whatever the trick is, we know a part of the trick is Netanyahu and his people. I confronted Robert F. Kennedy about his anti-reparation stance against the Foundation of Black Americans. And I also went in on him about his sick, twisted relationship with some of the Zionists. Yes. I even talked about some of the Zionists who said that the Black American youth were a threat to their country. That was a few years ago, long before we started talking about October 7th. So how we send them billions and billions of dollars in money and weapons almost since their entire existence over there. And they sit up here and say that a large portion of American people who support them are an enemy to them. They were one of their high-level government consulates was recorded having said that. Talk black to me. So his people are trying to justify why he did it. He got some little trick up his sleeve. Well, yeah, you got some tricks up your sleeve, but I'm going to expose you because I'm going to make sure, baby, that you keep the main thing. If you do have a trick up your sleeve, baby, you're going to hear from Vicki, and I'm going to make sure that you understand, I don't care what power that's behind you, you better fear us, spiritually speaking, and the consequences that you're going to certainly pay karmically. You better fear us more than you fear them folks that's in your ear that you've been supporting, sir. Over there in that place they call Israel. Talk black to me. Get your seat today. The link is pinned above. You can go to my website at VickiPlanet.com or click that link above. Yes? Talk black to me, somebody. That's this Saturday. So I'm going to be exposing Robert F. Kennedy on several different things. I'm going to be exposing how, yes, believe it or not, how Zionism is even interconnected to his position on certain things related to that. And some more stuff. You definitely don't want to miss it. The reason why this is important is because whenever I am spiritually compelled to do something, this was a last minute thing that I decided to do, and that was because I was led to do so. Uh, Whenever I'm moved to do something like that, that's because something needs to be channeled. That means something needed to be seeded in the earth, and you don't want to miss that. That's very, very important that you don't miss. Make sure that you make the very small, tiny, and cheap investment in yourself by getting this information. Your life will never be the same. It's powerful because of the energy in the unseen court that I'm divinely connected to. That's what I'm channeling to you. Yes? Talk black to me. Everybody hit that thumbs up button, share, share, share. Talk black to me, somebody. This is very important. Now, let's get quickly to where we're going because I have a meeting coming up. How many of you all, in addition to the young man that I talked about before, this demon popped up out of one of y'all that just commented telling me, wait till the trial happens to talk about it. Let's stop talking about the case. One of you demons, you got a demon that jumped off in you and started typing with your fingers and stuff. You didn't even know you was possessed, but I just blessed you. I just gave you a preemptive exorcism so it wouldn't go, take over your eyes and your hair follicles. It was just getting in your bodysuit, and I snatched it out before it got real comfortable. You welcome. Talk black to me. Now watch this, family. How many of you all remember hearing about the young man, right? I just talked about him earlier, right? So if you're just coming in, watch the entire broadcast. His name is Karmelo Anthony, spelled with a K, not the basketball player. Well, how many of you all know that them folks, these Anglo-Saxons and stuff, these Yankees and stuff, how many of y'all know they real mad about the fact that after he was taken into custody, he had his hearing recently, and the judge lowered his bail and allowed him to be released while the trial proceeds. Yes? White folks think they running something. White folks are big mad because they're labeling him as a killer and a whole bunch of other stuff. So the media is conducting warfare, yes? But how many of you all know those of us that are black media, especially alternative black grassroots media, baby, we're the counterforce to white supremacy. Talk black to me, somebody. I said we're the counterforce to white supremacy's talking points. How many of you all know the war of words always starts first with media? It always starts with education and religion. Any place where words are spoken, either in print or literal or otherwise. Yes? Talk black to me, somebody. So we need to be on guard and not let demons pop up in you. We're making excuses for white folks. Just hush. We already know how they are. Even if we didn't know the initial facts of the case, the only time we need to hush is when white folks are out there talking about they got evidence that the man was wrong, the brother was wrong. That's when you hush. When them white folks are talking crazy about the brother and trying to say this and that and this stuff, that's when you hush. You see how that works? That's right, my sister Pamela. She said, Vicki said, you can stay confused. Yes, baby. Whoever's in there saying I'm confused. Yes. Because you got to know when you're typing stuff and when you're doing stuff, when it's an interruption to the flow of what I'm giving. How many of you ever been with your children and they start asking you a whole bunch of questions? And because you're an adult, you know that when they are exposed to certain situations and circumstances, if they just be quiet long enough, they'll have an understanding. So you don't go out of your way to try to give them an immediate answer, right? Some of you all that are grown-ups and grandmamas and granddaddies, you are jumping off in here while I'm in the middle of talking when you should just be sitting back observing and receiving and then try to piece together what I put together. And when it's reasonable, when you still don't understand, that's when you ask questions. You understand? But you don't interrupt the flow because you're interrupting a specific channel. That's like you getting in the way of a storm. That's like you get in the way when a lightning bolt is striking and you want to jump in the way and ask the lightning bolt questions. You get out the way and you ask questions later. Yes? That's how that goes. And does Vicki care whether or not you understand that? Does Vicki care whether or not you're acclimated to that? Yeah, I care enough to let you wait and be confused. The reason why some of you all are stuck like Chuck in the Matrix is because you ask questions at the wrong time. I will leave you sitting in confusion for a minute because even in your so-called confusion, there's actually something happening. And some of you don't even know that sometimes an energy can use you to interrupt what I'm trying to do, to prevent, frustrate, and foil the effectiveness of what I'm doing. And I'm good at smashing it down. I'm real good at that. I'm so good at that. And that means mere mortals will be offended in the meantime. And I'm all right with that too. You understand? Well, let me give you a little bit of information. Look at this headline. Y'all see this headline? Let me see. Y'all look at this headline real quick. Family, let's look at this headline. Y'all see this? Can y'all see that? Black judge who reduced Karmelo Anthony's bail receives death threats, gets added security. Talk black to me, somebody. Y'all hit that thumbs up button, share, share, share. Shout out to our beautiful moderators that's in the chat. One of our moderators, Ms. Sharifa, just told everybody click above. Yeah, she's talking about my webinar that I'm doing this Saturday where I'm going to expose RFK as a Health and Human Services secretary. I'm going to explain to you why he backtracked. I'm going to give you some inside information, some parallel information that you must know and understand. I'm going to talk about the aspect of Netanyahu and his folks that's interrelated to this situation that's going on. And I'm going to talk to you about spiritually, metaphysically, magically, what you ought to be able to do about it. Yes. How many of you all know that these are different types of aspects of what we know as the Neo-Illuminati? How many of you all understand that we need not be preoccupied and obsessed with what them folks are doing? The question is, if we're the original people and if we're the true Ancient of Days, and some of us know who we are, that means we preceded these new folks on our planet. They're only powerful because they're activating in a very corrupt way, in a very affected way, some of our ancient Black practices. I said some. The question is, what are you doing about it? The question is, are we going to continue to allow them to demonize our ancient Black ancestors and their practices to rule the world? Are we going to just lay down our little power because we're going to call it demonic because white folks gave us that little wicked, twisted mindset? They done traded in our ancient Black spiritual systems for a stringy head, blue-eyed Jesus. No, we're not doing that. We're giving Jesus back to y'all. Talking about some Calvary. We got Calvary in the United States in the form of a bunch of hangings. We know their names. And it didn't happen 2,000 years ago. And their bodies were intact. You ate them. And you dismember some of the body parts and stuff. You see how that works? Let's get to where we're going with this sister. Watch this. Are y'all listening real quick? I gotta go in a few minutes, family. Listen. It says Angela Tucker, that's her name, an African-American district judge in Collins County, Texas, is facing threats and heightened public scrutiny after she reduced the bail of Karmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old Black teen accused of fatally stabbing another student at a high school track meet. Tucker lowered Anthony's bail from $1 million to $250,000 on Monday, allowing him to be released under house arrest, a move that has sparked outrage, debate, and threats against her safety. According to the Daily Mail, the Collin County Sheriff's Office confirmed that both it and the FBI are investigating threats made against Tucker, reportedly from people upset by her decision. Some of these individuals also posted her personal information online. Are y'all listening? Prompting investigators to look into potential charges for unlawful disclosure and retaliation. As a result, Tucker set her social media accounts to private shortly after the hearing, citing safety concerns. Much of the anger has been fueled by what many are calling a racial double standard in the racial system, in the justice system. Critics point out that white suspects accused of serious crimes have often received lower bail, lighter sentences, or even acquittals, while Black defendants like Anthony are frequently treated more harshly. This latest case has brought renewed attention to disparities in how the U.S. legal system handles race and crime. Anthony is accused of killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, who is white, who died in his twin brother's arms while being stabbed in the heart during a confrontation at a Frisco track meet. According to the arrest affidavit, Metcalf told Anthony to move from another team's tent, which escalated into a fatal altercation. Anthony reportedly reached into his bag, warned Metcalf not to touch him, and then stabbed him after being grabbed. Talk black to me, somebody. So this is what I want you all to understand. Now, why am I bringing up this beautiful sister in the first place, Miss Angela Tucker, this Black judge? Y'all look at this Black judge. I don't have time to get into these other details. This article is pretty much to the point. You can look this up, but I just wanted to give you a few facts about her that you may or may not have known. How many of you all know that the county that they're in there was talking about Colin County, Texas? How many of y'all know it's overwhelmingly white out there? And it's only a small portion of black folks. Well, I learned that this Miss Angela Tucker, I'm told she won the Republican vote. Did y'all hear what I said right there? Somebody said the feather looks good on you. Thank you, precious. Y'all, did y'all hear what I just said? So white folks, enough white folks voted for her as a Republican. But now that she's assessed the case as an intelligent judge is supposed to do and released his brother on bail, how many of y'all know in the American system, you're supposed to be presumed innocent until otherwise proven guilty? How many of y'all know that? How many of y'all know that? How many of you all know in the court of law in the United States, you're supposed to be presumed innocent until otherwise proven guilty? How many of y'all know that the media is making warfare against this young man? Yes? Are y'all listening? I said, how many of y'all know that the lily white media is making warfare? Now, when you look at white media's coverage of her, look at the headline, for example, from Daily Mail, which they're little devils anyway. Y'all see the headline from them? Look how it's written. Karmelo Anthony judge Angela Tucker goes to ground as she's blasted for letting teen, quote, killer out of jail. White people think that their lives are so precious. Ninja, sit your outside, the outside. Your life is not more precious than ours. And we're not going to help you normalize it. We're going to be strong and against it. And we're not even going to say, well, this is so sad this happened. No. It's sad that the little white boys felt comfortable getting this black man's face and aggressing him to where he was forced to have to stand his ground. That's what's sad. And everybody better do everything that they can to make sure that this young man does not feel guilty about what somebody did to him. That they put themselves in a position to have to get a result that they should have calculated better. Talk black to me, somebody. We are not going to join along and act like your life is more precious than somebody else. Somebody said even early on, before the dad, I think the dad allegedly changed his statement a little bit, but I think the dad even came out saying how it was sad. He really acknowledged the fact that his son was one of the ones that started and stuff. But you know how they try to pull back later and talk about, it was sad on both ends. No, the part that's sad is your child. The white boy should have never did that. That's what's sad. And we're not going to comment further on nothing else. That's not for us to do, family. Everybody needs to make sure that that black young man doesn't grow up feeling bad and guilty. That's the therapy that needs to go on right now. The hard work is making sure that he doesn't take on a white supremacist attitude and an incident. That's the part we got to make sure that doesn't end up sad. That if I was his mom, if I was his auntie or somebody, baby, y'all would have thought I was his mama because I would be taking him out. He would be at my house a whole lot because I've been doing a whole lot of magic on him and his mind and telling him how wonderful and great he is. Reminding him how this is not his fault. And putting him in situations and circumstances so he would never get himself confused with being anything other than a king. We're not going to normalize the uncivilized behavior. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, I want to tell you something. That's how white folks do. Now, if she is a Republican and in a large part of the county that they're in A lot of white folks end up voting for her. Now they mad. Let me tell y'all something. White people are upset because they expected a black bootlick to be good managers of a white supremacist system. How many of you know white folks don't care what color you are as long as you have a white supremacist mindset? They often prefer somebody that looks like us so they can trick the rest of us to go along with an illegitimate system. Yes? Talk black to me, somebody. The only opinion that matters over here, not no other judges, but Vicki Dillard. That's the only one that matters. You understand? Whoever just put that in the chat, y'all know what I'm trying to say without calling out no names. It's going to be what I said. You see? It's going to be what I said. There are different kinds of courts. And black folks are in the midst of a spiritual court that's going on and a rebalancing, a Maya that's trying to take place that our ancestors are involved in. And when you are a strict, logical mind, you will miss it. Now, what I wanted to say real quick, because y'all, I told you I got a meeting in a few minutes, right? How many of y'all know I've been discussing Kamala Harris's record for many, many years, right? No matter what platform I've been on, I've been talking about her. I have to take you back into time. Y'all remember this headline or something similar, right? We know her history, right? Everybody hit that thumbs up button, share, share, share. I remember, I know I'm on other networks and I give content and stuff, but I haven't been on my channel here live as much as I would like to be. But how many of you all know I told you all that I was not going to abandon my own channel, right? So I'm happy to pop up on you real quick today. Yes? How many of y'all remember this? Who we talking about? Who's this lady right here? Who's this lady? Now, why am I bringing her up? Kamala Harris in the middle of this. This headline, as we are very familiar with, right, family? Y'all see this? How Kamala Harris fought to keep nonviolent prisoners locked up. As California Attorney General, she spent years subverting a 2011 Supreme Court ruling requiring the state to reduce its prison population. The overseeing judicial panel nearly found the state in contempt of court. Now, how many of you all know I've discussed that many times? What is that saying? That's saying that Kamala Harris was given a court order by the Supreme Court to reduce the prison population in California when she was Attorney General. She slow walked the courts. She defied the courts. Watch this. The stuff that Trump is doing. Y'all ain't listening. I know the Democrats gonna be mad that I'm saying this. I said what Trump is doing with the courts right now, Kamala did with the courts as Attorney General. She defied the courts. The Supreme Court gave her an order, and she defied it and defied it and defied it and refused to release the prisoners. And how many of you all know that a part of the justification that they use to keep folks locked up is that they wanted to use our low-cost, cheap firefighting skills, prison skills? How many of you all know they talked about how they're saving their state a whole lot of money by using the prison slave labor and a bunch of other reasons, but that was one of the reasons that they cited. How many of you all know that the equivalent of what Trump is doing now, where he's testing the limits of these courts right there in their faces and refusing to comply with their orders? How many of you all know that Kamala Harris did the exact same thing with the Supreme Court of the United States? So much so, Vicki don't have to make it up, that they were seriously considering holding her in contempt of court, her in her office, the state. I'm reminding you all of that. Yes? Now, I know y'all don't like this because Trump is he's so boisterous with what he does. He's so messy with it, and he's a devil for what he's doing. But I'm trying to let you all know so is she. And when we were calling out Kamala Harris from years ago before she even ran for president of the United States, you black bootlicks and ninjas weren't on this. You wasn't exposing this. You were justifying what she was doing against us. These very courts. Now, why am I bringing up Kamala Harris in the context of this Republican black judge, Miss Angela Tucker? Where my article at? Why am I bringing her in the context of this black judge? Because do you all see how white folks weren't demanding that Kamala Harris step down when she was the state, when she was a prosecutor, or when she was the attorney general of the state of California, locking black folks up? They applauded her. They encouraged her. They're the ones that gave her the idea to do it in the first place. But the moment you use the court system, which is supposed to be a culture to keep black folks, quote unquote, in their place and oppressed, that's when white folks turn on you. And I wanted to juxtapose Kamala Harris's engagement and connection with the courts to show you how white folks will not object to you so long as you're using the courts to keep black folks suppressed. But if you use it as a means of justice and to just be fair, we're not even at the point of trial to determine whether or not the young man is, in the eyes of the jury, guilty or innocent. But the preliminary hearings and process is important. Now, I'm bringing this up because of my unique circumstance and situation with the courts, both criminally and civilly. Talk black to me. I understand the corruption that happens in the courts with the collusion of even some of your public defenders that are in the pockets of the courts and the prosecutor's office, and their connection to powerful corporations, yes, people, places, and things like Wall Street, as was the case interrelated to my situation. I want you all to understand and to see that we ain't gonna be out here giving a whole bunch of explanations to white people about how they always get justice with the courts and we don't. How they people can be total beasts and act like animals and they don't even get a bail. How many of y'all know they've been doing everything to stop his family and friends and loved ones from even raising money to help with his legal case? How many of y'all know white folks are out there trying to mess that up? Talk black to me, somebody. Now, let me give y'all a word real quick because I got to go. Get the word out to Texas, Collins County, and that surrounding area. If you are somebody that's called to be a juror, make sure you show up for jury duty. Do not tip your hat. Let them know you're going to be fair and be fair. But don't you dare get back there with no white folks and feel like that you under pressure. You 50 years old and you submit to peer pressure because other folks deliberate and decide they want to find this young man guilty. If you end up being one of the jurors, you better stay on code. Somebody just said, okay, I'm hiding the DFW. Baby, get the word out and let every black person know. Don't tip your hands with the courts when they start to ask you questions. If you have to show up for jury duty and stuff, don't say, no, I'm going to vote again. I'm going to vote for the young man. No, hush your mouth. And just be about that life in the back room. And don't you dare submit or succumb to white folks' pressure. You ain't going to see them Anglo-Saxons probably again. Bet not. Somebody say bet not. I didn't say better not. I said they bet not. Everybody needs to be on code with security. Everybody needs to be on code with our talking points. Because how many of you all know this is bigger than one individual? This sets a precedent. And white folks think their lives are so precious that the law's supposed to protect them. No, ninja. Hillary Clinton used the phrase concerning black folks that we needed to bring us to heal. How many of y'all know that's how she referred to black folks when her husband was pushing pushing that legislation, the crime bill? No, that's what y'all need to do. Bring your people to heal. I was saying this the other day. Y'all, look, white people are so mad at me. I tweeted the other day. I wasn't even expecting the tweet to do nothing. I was just thinking of something and tweeted something the other day because I was just contemplating. I've said this a million times, what I'm about to share with you now. I just did this a few days ago where I tweeted this out, what I've been saying for the longest, how white folks, how many of y'all know Donald Trump is out here sanctioning China, Canada, and some other countries talking about they funneling fentanyl into the United States. So we talking about, let's give them more tariffs. So in addition to there being an economic tariffs in general that Trump literally has with the whole world, which is diabolical and crazy. Why? I don't want to hear nobody sitting up here talking about how the rest of the world is getting over on us with tariffs and all these fees, because that's what the economists coming out and saying. How you going to sit up there and talk about the rest of the world is getting over on you, America, when you went to the rest of the world colonizing and enslaving you and your Western brothers, your Western buddies? Y'all see how you sound crazy right there? How you going to sit there, steal, kill, and destroy, and then going to turn around and talk about it's not right that they getting over with the fees, the tariffs? You see how you sound crazy? You've been making mischief with the WTO. You've been making mischief with the IMF, International Monetary Fund. You've been making mischief with the World Bank. Ninja, and you want to sit up here and talk about the other nations? Somebody said not Russia. No, yes, Russia. Russia has more sanctions on them than any other nation. Economic sanctions. They ain't hardly nothing else they can do to Russia, because we put so many sanctions on Russia. Do y'all understand that? Now back to what my point was a minute ago. White folks out here talking about fentanyl. How many of y'all know white people are out here suing doctors that give them prescriptions and they winning? How many of y'all know white folks that out here done sued pharmaceutical companies and won? Talking about they got attached, they done got addicted to prescription drugs. No, white people. How the hell are we doing this for them? You dope heads is what it is. Y'all are okay when y'all are the ones that helped to create crack cocaine. You flooded into the black community on purpose. You used the funds for that in order to fund your dark wars that Congress refused to fund many, many years ago. Y'all sit Nancy Reagan's funny looking self out, because I'm 46 years of age in Mississippi. I had to go through elementary school with a DARE program. Y'all told us to just say no. White people, just say no, dope head. Hell, we look like sit over here talking about sanctioning countries because you can't keep yourself together. No, what's happening is there's a disproportionate number of white people that's getting caught up in the fentanyl. It's okay when black folks get caught up and other melanated people get caught up. White folks are tripping because they did not expect their numbers to be so high with the fentanyl. When you look at the stuff they talking about, China and Canada is pushing, they talking about pre-chemical fentanyl stuff. So y'all talking about one of the ingredients you claim that they have to have in the lab to make the stuff. You see how crazy that is? No, white people, we're not feeling your life ain't more precious than ours. That's the point I'm trying to make. Just say no. White people are tripping because their numbers are biologically going down on their own. And they're expediting their own end. And they tripping and they nervous. So now they're trying to sanction the whole world to help them with their madness. No. You're dope head and you ain't even got no reason to be. See what I'm saying? You ain't been oppressed like us. You ain't even got no reason to be. Did nobody go in your community and intentionally flood it like y'all did us? Did nobody make laws and trap you in prison? Did nobody destroy you for many generations? You ain't even got no reason to be up like that. You see what I'm saying? You ain't even got no reason. The most privileged people on the planet. What you got? I'm not even going to help you figure that out. But what in the world are we sitting here sanctioning the rest of the world for pre-chemical fentanyl stuff? And talking about your allies like Canada is intentionally trying to traffic fentanyl into America. And I am no fan of Canada. If Nancy told black folks to just say no after white folks intentionally flooded our community with drugs, we're going to tell you, you damn sure better say just say no. And we ain't finna be sitting out here sanctioning nobody. How many of y'all know they imprison trap houses in the black community? But how many of you all know that your government uses its money for what they call little clinics? For white people to have a safe, legal trap house to go do their dope in. So that they don't get strung out and kill themselves. How many of y'all know they ain't nothing but a fancy trap house? Why are we making these exceptions for them? Why are they winning cases against pharmaceutical companies for prescription drugs that they legit asked for and wanted? But you mean to tell me where are our black lawyers and stuff to sue the government for intentionally flooding crack in our communities? Where's our reparations for that? No, I'm gonna need all of the coons to come out to tell your white buddies and stuff to take responsibility for their little lives. We're gonna tell you to get self-control. We're gonna tell you to just say no. And you black lawyers need to be looking at their lawsuits and using their cases as case law to get us our reparations for the United States government for flooding drugs in our community. How are they winning cases against pharmaceuticals when they took the drugs on purpose? Grown-ups. Grown-ups. Not no child that had some substance in their food that they didn't know about that's killing them. No. You willfully and knowingly knew you was a dopehead, crackhead, and was trying to harass your dentist to give you some extra opioid. I mean, it ain't funny, but I'm just saying, we're only doing this because y'all didn't expect so many white people to be caught up in the fentanyl crisis. That's all. That's the only reason this is what this is for. Do you all think Trump ain't doing this for us? How many of y'all know Trump wasn't the only one? Biden did the same thing. How many of y'all know Biden was out there doing speeches when he was president, telling other countries to stop shipping fentanyl? Don't know about anybody. All the world is looking at you like white people get it together. Your other white allies like Canada, who you claim is sending precursor chemical fentanyl to America, they saying white people get it together. They white and they saying white people get it together. Canadians. I'm bringing that up in this context because y'all want us to believe that your life is more precious. And in the eyes of the law, and in the eyes of the medical industry, and in the eyes of politics, in the eyes of economics and military, arts and entertainment, and every other area, it's been for a while. It's a new day. And I know it's a shocker. It's a shocker. But all of us is standing our ground. And those of us in media, we're standing our ground by holding the line and the talking points and the narrative, holding the court of public opinion to make sure that you all understand, no, it ain't going to be no sorry. Ain't nobody saying, I just hate this. No. We hate that white people was aggressing this young man and threatened his life and made him fear to where he was forced to stand for his ground. That's what we sorry about. But there's nothing else. No, there's nothing else. With fentanyl, heroin, all the stuff y'all doing, that's your life ain't more precious than us. If it's the court system and whether or not the young man gets bail, your life isn't more precious than us. And truth be told, he should have never had no $1 million bond in the first place. And truth be told, he shouldn't even have a $250,000 bond. That's not how the law is supposed to work. You're supposed to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And the only ones we ought to be presuming otherwise on are the people that got a thousands-year history of murdering and killing and destroying. Because you couldn't get a bagel, you pull out AK-47s and shoot up the school. Mama told you this morning, no, you're not getting a bagel. You're going to have to eat Raisin Bran. Oh, golly darn it. Where's the AK-47? And you go blow up the school. And the teacher. And before you shoot, you write a manifesto talking about, I told my mama that if she denied me the bagel, I was going to shoot. Using their guns. No, Ninja. We're not finna sit here and play with y'all. Hell, we let you in our church circles. What did Dylan Roof do? When the church people in the South, and Mother Emanuel's church, when they let this fool in the church to pray, he pulled out the guns, the big guns. And what did you ninjas do before there was even a funeral? Y'all went on TV talking about, we forgive him. No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't. No. You see how y'all sound crazy? You was taking them to your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that looked like Dylan Roof. He blew all y'all up. And after it was over, somebody tell me, where did the police take him to? Whoever just put the hamburger in the chat, thank you for saying that. What happened after he shut up the black parishioners. 5 minutes later, they family members forgave him. And what did the police do when they picked him up to arrest him? Gently. Somebody tell me in the chat. Somebody already put a no, that was a bagel. I thought it was something else. Somebody tell me, where did the police take Dylan Roof after they put him into custody for mass murder? Somebody tell me in the chat. Thank you, whoever that is. Some of y'all remember. I know it's been some years ago, but I've been doing news for a long time. Jess, Burger King. The police took that funny looking ninja to Burger King. Y'all see how that worked? We finna go eat Burger King. Chicken, Popeye, something. Ain't none of us finna sit up here and lose no sleep over what your little wicked self was doing. We're not finna sit here and deliberate about it. We're not gonna talk about what he could have. No, fool. Because that means your life more precious than ours, and it's not. Generally speaking, it's precious, but not individually to where we finna spend. No. Like our brother Karmelo showed you, his life is precious, and he defended and protected his life. Because white folks will pull out an AK-47 if they don't get a bagel. So we can't take no chances on whether your mind, where your mind's at. The moment you start aggressing the young man, it's either this, the bagel, the Cheerios, Burger King, AK-47, ball it all up. I'm not finna take no risk on y'all. Talk back to me, somebody. These are facts. I know this sounds crazy, but this is reality. And when you're dealing with somebody that doesn't seem like they're in their right mind, you don't sit there and try to negotiate. I told y'all when I was in the belly of the beast, I would sit up there trying to talk to the real prisoners, real criminals. Like, hey, sis, if you wouldn't mind, just if you wouldn't do that. Whoa. One of my homegirls that was in the belly of the beast, I didn't fool with nobody, but she was a real criminal for real. She said, blankety, blank, blank, blank. Didn't she tell you blank, B, bunk, bop, bop, bop? The girl came to and was like, yes, ma'am. I said, oh, my God, that's the Lord. That's the Lord. That was the Lord. She came to when she cussed her like that and told her blankety, blank, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there telling my sister, gorgeous queen, goddess, ma'am. Sister said, blankety, blank, 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 bop, 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 bop. The girl, like, her mind came together too. Right. I said, wow, that's the Lord. That's the Lord. That was the Lord. That was the Lord. You got to learn that energy and get with it. It's that underworld energy that I had to get an initiation into. And I can appreciate at times. Ninja, this the energy of nature. You know about. I got to deal with you according to your world. Fool. That's the Lord. That was the Lord. You talking about how to act, brothers and sisters. That was the Lord. Yes, brothers and sisters of Christ. That was the Lord. That was the Lord. That was the Lord. So, family, let me see you Saturday, April 19th. I got to go, family. I got 9 minutes before this meeting starts. I'm going to be exposing Robert F. Kennedy. How many of y'all know I met with Robert F. Kennedy? How many of y'all know that once I was done meeting with Robert F. Kennedy, there was a small group of people that was there. How many of y'all know that when I was done with him, I was the first and only one they allowed to address him? And when I was finished with him, how many of y'all know that his team, his managers, campaign manager team lost their minds? Family, they refused to take any comments or questions from anybody else that was there when I was done with him. I'm going to tell you what that's about. We had a conversation after it was over, and I'm going to connect the dots in a way maybe that you haven't known before. I'm going to be further exposing. How many of y'all been in my previous pandemic webinars? Y'all know I put it down. Ninjas be looking at me like I'm just really just not with it. I'm not sure what you thought this was. The spirituality and the receipts are just unmatched. And the reason why they're that is because I'm trying to show you that that's proof that I'm speaking from an unseen and spiritual government. An unseen spiritual government. Talk back to me, somebody. That's trying to give you the play on what your government is doing, what your world is up to. They want you to feel powerless. And Trump and others are literally making war on the world. How many of y'all know, yeah, there's a deep state. Yeah, there are other unseen forces. Yeah, there are forces with the neo-Illuminati that takes the form of many entities. And this uncertainty and what's going on, you want to have a little bit more of an understanding about. And you can only get that when you connect with me, beloved, offline. Yes? So the link is above is this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Get your seat today. The link is above, or go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. I love you all so very much, family. I can't wait to see you again.